Hello and welcome to Nerds Garage New Game Monday. Today we have a special guest, Bill Howley from Full Sail, where I go, and he is currently making a game at Zygobot Studio. You want to tell us a bit about that first?
How's it going, everybody? I feel very grateful to be on the Nerds Garage podcast right now. It's a Sunday, and it's a great day that I've been learning to work on passion projects. And when that passion project happens to be what one's working on at least 30 hours a week, it's a great little challenge to have. It's been a really cool ride. Of course, this is month 6, so Dylan reached out to me to talk a little bit about the experience so far. Basically, in our studio, it's one of the 4 capstones in the game design master's degree at Full Sail, the indie capstone. And we have been working on games in the indie capstone for a good period of time. Now, before this, there was one game that was being worked on for a couple of years. It's pretty simple for a game to start small, and then what I learned early on in the program is something called feature creep or scope creep, where something simplistic enough, a really fun idea, turns into some huge...
I'm pretty sure I know which game you're talking about.
Yes, and that's not the only one. It happens to many projects, and game projects especially, because there's a lot of creativity that goes into them, but there's also a lot of technical bit of aptitude that must go into them as well to make them a reality. The one we've been working on, and Dylan has supported as well, is called SaVR. It originated based off a little writing project that I was doing for the indie studio when we do something called shadowing. So we would hang out at the studio, do work on tasks of what we might be interested in, whether that be design, art, development, writing, audio, production, etc. I was given a writing task just to write about anything, create a couple characters, a world, a problem in that world, and that's where SaVR, a virtual reality, arcade, discretionary, harmful telepathy, kind of like a bullet hell shooter game arose from. Pretty neat just to start from a story, not any kind of game in mind at the very beginning. It was just about a couple African children in Ghana, a place I had actually been to before. So that was kind of nice to reconnect with a great experience that I had during my bachelor's program, doing a construction consultancy internship, doing interdisciplinary engineering and management major at the time. And it was a way for me to reconnect to that great time when I did this, somehow got this great internship in Ghana, West Africa, and talked about some kids in a certain part of Ghana where the largest artificial fresh lake in the world is. It's called Lake Volta, and kind of got to put myself there. So that was kind of cool to kind of get the sort of the momentum of like imagination going, just for the sake of it. There's so many different ways. And I talked about, what was it like for me to be there in Africa? And I thought about, I just remember like this wonderful level of hospitality. No matter where anyone was from the world, many Africans were very accepting of people. And it was really easy to see that, hey, anthropologists have discovered folks from 30,000 years ago or so from Ethiopia. So it's kind of like a sort of a sense of common ancestry and a bond that we all share. So that's kind of where I found this existential threat of Hashfala aliens that the player is shooting at in SaVR. And it just kind of started out just like, what is that in the sky? The kids don't know, but the parents do. And it kind of leads into the sort of simple-ish arcade experience that doesn't have a whole lot of narrative in it necessarily.
Extremely interesting. I actually did not know that much about the backstory of it. What was the internship that brought you to Ghana?
Sure. It was a construction consultancy internship. So essentially, I found it through this International Association of Exchange of Students for Technical Experience organization. I remember it kind of vividly. A lot of friends were talking about how they had been traveling abroad during my bachelor's or during our bachelor's degree. And it was at a party, and I was like, wow, I almost studied abroad, and I still really want to go somewhere. There's got to be a way. So I somehow got lucky and just searched international internships, and I was there for about 3 months.
That is awesome. Thinking back on it, what is the game that made you want to make games?
That's a really good question. A question that I don't often think about. So it's fun to think about this kind of thing. I would say NFL Blitz, but it wasn't. I wouldn't say that. I don't know how hard it is to read this Patriots label. But sports have always been a huge passion. Just playing soccer, my family cheering on the sidelines, and just kind of really getting that sense of competition that soccer brought and still brings to so many different people all over the world. It's in all likelihood, the most popular sport with, I think, about 1 billion people tuning into the World Cup. So sports games I've always been passionate about. I kind of just played them highly recreationally until a buddy at school mentioned this thing called Xbox Live. I still remember where I was in gym class when he mentioned that. I was like, wait, what? On our Xbox we're be playing against other people? No way. And it might be the game that one of the first games we connected about, Dylan.
Yep.
That'd be Halo.
That's the game that got me here.
That's so great. Yeah, Halo Combat Evolved. I started playing split screen and System Link pretty quickly. System Link was really neat where there was no screen peeking, and we had a pretty high honor system in my buddy Walnut Muffin's room. And I would sometimes go 1-on-2, sometimes it'd be 2-on-2, and just that challenge against other folks, outwitting all the strategy, not just the strategy, but the tactics that go into it. What seems like such a simple experience, on just right in plain view, there's actually a lot going on, especially in multiplayer.
Yeah.
And of course, the Covenant and the soundtrack by, I think it's O'Donnell, just really made a great impression.
Definitely, for me, I guess because it is the same game, it was the Martin O'Donnell soundtrack. Hearing that in a video game, because I think I've been in an orchestra class in middle school, so I've always had a deep love for music, and I've played games a lot, but it wasn't until about Halo when I realized the amount of work that goes into music in games, other than just look at bad guy and shoot.
Right, and the narrative-driven story that the music helps propel. Yeah, so I didn't realize you were in orchestra. That's cool to have that sort of skill and that experience.
Yeah, that was fun. I did cello and stand-up bass for 2 instruments. I played through high school, about 5 years I played those.
Nice. So it sounds like you could pick up the stand-up bass and, hey, be somewhat decent.
Probably stand-up bass more than cello. That one I had the most fun with.
Yeah, and especially what we've been learning in games in the studio is, of course, these game engines and how powerful they are. So literally, if you had a decent mic setup, you could play some stand-up bass, and then of course have the audio file on the computer and just drag it into your game.
Yeah. Wish I still had a stand-up bass to do that now that I think about that.
All right, there's still time.
Working with Unreal has been a huge difference for me because up to this point, I've only really done work with compositing in Nuke and basic modeling in Maya. Before this, have you worked with Unreal much before, or were you more of a Unity?
Mostly just Unity. Unreal was a bit foreign to me. There's a lot of different offerings out there. Of course, like for folks watching who might not know or listening who might not know, there's Lumberyard by Amazon. There's Game Maker. There's a whole slew of free game engines. Whereas watching a 10-minute video can literally get some of your own personal work and create a unique product with a game engine very quickly. So I was familiar with Unity more so through Udemy.com.
Okay.
And yeah, actually I did some 2D stuff. So it's fun just writing a text-based adventure.
And then back to your game, Humanity SaVR. What made you want to make it in VR?
Good question again. I would say it was kind of as I've been fortunate enough to kind of be in a spot where the studio is transitioning into smaller projects of teams of 2 to 5, which is a pretty nice team for anyone who wants to make a game on the side. Having a team of 2 to 5 that's dedicated, even if it's just 10 hours a week for that team, is great. I wanted to make sure that the team had a lot of creative input into the game, and I wasn't just kind of this like super powerful director that said it's gonna be like this. I never really resonated with that kind of way to exercise the role of creative director, which is kind of like the lead game designer for the game. We just kind of were bouncing ideas off, and one of the artists, Corey, actually posed it out there that, hey, this would be really neat in VR. We just got some Oculus headsets to test with. A lot of folks don't have experience in VR. And of course, as we know, VR is growing hugely. Whereas it's like a $6 billion industry now or so, and it's going to be like something in the $20 billion later this decade. So I just sounded like a great opportunity for folks to get their feet wet in VR. And the game is almost built for VR. It's really fun, like a glorified battle range, in my humble opinion.
From what I've seen, it works
shooting range.
perfectly there. It definitely works perfectly in VR from the bits I've seen of it.
It's awesome. Yeah, the computer is so powerful, you can just hit Window G and record anything and put it on YouTube in like a second. So I've been able to share videos of it with the studio. Of course, the Oculus headset's a little tough to get a hold of. They're usually about $400 for either the Quest or the Rift, if anyone might not have known. And they're also pretty hard to find with the quarantine, with the pandemic and all. Yet it's just amazing. There's so many different kinds of neat experiences to have with it. And we're fortunately going to be publishing to SideQuest VR, which is not the Oculus store per se, but it's kind of an entry point for games either looking to be on the Oculus store or just games just to throw out there for people to play relatively easily. It does something called side loading. So it side loads the game onto the Oculus Quest. It's pretty neat stuff, and there are some abstract, wacky experiences to be had.
Got probably 15 side quests on my Quest right now, actually. The one I'm following, what was it called? Someone was trying to make like a VR Dark Souls. I've been following that one. A VR version of Dark Souls, and I've been following the development on side quests for about 3 months now. So that's definitely a great place to put out a game like this.
Nice. I can only imagine what that would be like. Like, how scary is it? Like, what the ambiance is like.
The ambiance is perfect. The enemies are all T-posing, but the ambiance, the lighting, the sounds, the actual movement controls are perfect. I can't wait for the enemies to actually start shambling towards me.
Yeah, it's not by the folks who do Dark Souls.
No, it's a fan project, but it's
nice.
Interesting the amount of power VR has with immersing people into a world.
Yeah, like it's like you can talk about it, you can read about it, you can build games for it, but until you put on that headset, it's not the same. It needs to be experienced.
So, up to this point in development, what was the largest hurdle you had to get past?
Sure. Essentially, being a bit quarantined and not having our headsets right away, just because everyone was trying to be safe. Basically, when the development team is working on code in what's called the integrated developer environment, the IDE in Microsoft Visual Studio, saving it, and then almost always that developer, she or he, is hitting play and seeing the result on the screen. We didn't have that for a little bit of time until we were able to corral some headsets. So I think that was like a little bit of a challenge, yet we skated through it pretty well, just making sure to get a lot of the infrastructure working that now drives the game. So that was like a little bit of a challenge. I would say some other challenges have been like a little bit of the feature creep, the scope creep a little bit. Like it's quite something to have that always be out there. It's very exciting to like try out something new, but it's like one sentence could bring about like 50 hours of work by multiple resources.
Yep.
So just managing that has been a challenge, and especially like this is one of my first games besides that text-based adventure game. I think just kind of just learning about how production can go, and just some of like the different ways to kind of see hurdles down the way, like kind of having that clarity, like looking out like you're on a ship or something and trying to see like potential problems down the line is kind of like a skill that's just constantly being developed. So I feel like every week, especially like on a Sunday when I'm working on the game a little bit, it's just like, wow, I could have done like 15 things differently, and the situation wouldn't be like it is right now. But this is part of it, the education and the journey. So just embracing that, and yeah, I would say just for the most part, just being technically apt as well. Just trying to get as much like technical expertise and trying to put in a plan just to have like a really nice minimum viable product, and just kind of prioritizing that really well. So I think we've done a great job at that. It's just a matter of just wrapping up a couple of final notes now.
Awesome. So let's talk a bit more about the game itself. You said it was kind of like a bullet hell?
Yep.
So then the guns would be a big part of it. Do you have just one loadout, or what can people expect to be using in there?
Sure. So when loading out, the player ought to be having 3 weapons to play with. Essentially, there'll be a pistol weapon that has about unlimited ammo, and then there'll be a couple other weapons to switch to, which will have limited ammo, but they're more powerful than the pistol. Essentially, what the player must do is shoot the spawning Hashfala enemy aliens that are threatening the entire world, as bad aliens tend to do. And it's about shooting them quickly within a certain time window to get the highest score possible on that alien. Multiple will be spawning at once. So there'll be a little bit of difficulty there, trying to just get an old school high score effort going on. And after a bit of time, when the alien has not been eliminated, it will start producing an animation of telepathic damage to the player. The alien will also turn red. So that signifies that the player is losing health. Not a great thing. The player needs to be shooting these red aliens as quickly as possible, switching between weapons, and replenishing ammo and replenishing health via friendly aliens that are also on the screen. So this is where the discretionary part comes in. The radiations have actually been trying to stop the Hashfala from just conquesting the Milky Way tremendously so. and they're actually on the field just to provide support to the player. So the way that they support the player is by the player switching the type of plasma from the red plasma that takes out the Hashfala to the green plasma that actually aids the radiations. It actually gives them a little health boost. There'll be a little particle effect where they sort of carry off, they kind of teleport off, and they'll give the player full health and full ammo when that happens.
Awesome. And when can people expect to see the game on SideQuest?
About July 21st. That is the target date right now that we are planning for. I would like to kind of drop it a little bit earlier than that, if at all possible. Yet by July 21st, it will be released and playable for the public. And I hope everyone watching and or listening here can totally enjoy it and provide any kind of feedback. It's highly appreciated.
I know I can't wait to play it. So our last question, and maybe most important, is what advice do you have for people in our program right now?
Nice. I'm in month 11 currently. So as far as advice for folks in the program, I'd say just to prioritize getting in some kind of work rhythm that makes sense for that person, whether that be working every single day or taking a day off each week, trying to get into a schedule that is sustainable, not one that might lead to burnout, but just like making sure that plenty of time is being allocated and that burnout is not happening as little as possible. Also, I'd say just trying to go the extra mile in the capstones, it's only going to help out. It could be easy just to do the minimum amount of hours, and for the assignments, for the coursework, just do the minimum amount there. Yet the truth is, like, this field is it's big, and like if there's not like a lot of work being put in, and of course that work's gonna be passionate, and it's because we're doing it because we enjoy doing it and something we love doing. Just making sure to constantly connect with that and just keep learning and just kind of embrace the journey as it transpires.
Awesome. Thank you for taking the time to talk today.
Definitely, Dylan. This has been rad. I'm still trying to check out all the neat games and whatnot behind you. Whoa, you have Gloomhaven.
Yes, I've been waiting. I want to play that so badly. I cannot wait.
I got to connect you with Iye from my class. He plays it a lot with friends, and he was asking me to play.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Gloomhaven is, I guess you could call it hardcore.
Yes, from the research I've done on it, yes. I'm just waiting for the right amount of time to be able to play it because workload in this program is heavy.
It's heavy. It's heavy. Yeah, for sure. Like front loading it definitely helps, and like kind of having like a weekly schedule, of course, can help with that too. But yeah, that'd be great to jump on Gloomhaven. Maybe like a Pandemic online. I've been wanting to play that too. I have that game. I just haven't played it in so long.
Pandemic is a fun one.
Yeah, and it's pretty timely as well. But yeah, I'll connect you to E.
Thank you.
Gloomhaven. You got Ticket to Ride. You got a good quantity and quality there.
Studio ever opens up, we need to have more game days.
Yeah, that's definitely something to make happen.
Well, thank you for joining us here at Nerds Garage. We hope to have you back at some point, maybe.
Definitely.
About it,
man.
And I think that's a wrap for this week's New Game Monday. Talk to you next week.
Have a good one.